Hey, it's Sebastian, week 2 discussion post for Miss Diaz ideas, grouping similar academic backgrounds. I think the benefits of that are that students can excel at their own pace. The high groups, if they're knocking it down, they're figuring it out, they can learn more, they can take extra steps, while the mid or low groups, they can, hey, we're like kind of struggling with this certain subject. The teacher can focus on that and say like, okay, we're gonna hunker down on this one subject and really make sure that we understand this before we move on. um, they can be around similar individuals when they do work, group projects and things to work with. Students also won't be frustrated. This is something that they pointed out on the discussion post. They won't be frustrated about being told to be slower or feeling not as smart or other reasonings when you're in a mixed group. And then you can do similar level work for the whole group when you're working with specific groups. If you know that they are struggling with something, then you can put them in something. You can, the way you present the information can be, very specific and similar for the whole group. Constraints, personally, I think you're capping the ceilings of the group. If you have a low group and they know they're the low group, they're not going to want to or feel like they can excel, like they're already, performing with an arm tied behind their back. um, you're not allowing the lower mid groups to work with individuals from higher groups. They can't learn, they can't um, see how the higher level group or the higher level students are doing their work, or how they're learning, or how they're doing things, unfortunately. And then you can create identity issues for students in lower groups. Students will start to identify themselves as a low group student, and they won't excel, or they won't move upward into higher mid groups, mid to high groups, as they get older into different class grades. As for Mr. Yang's idea, allowing the groups to be diverse, I think the benefits of that is that students can see and present uniqueness, as he said in the discussion post. But they can learn from each other. They can find different views of problem solving or culture, or other things like that, etc. I think that some of the constraints would be, as we all strive to have inclusive and fair learning environments, you got to find ways to represent the information or the instruction so that everyone can understand it, which, that was a benefit of putting similar academic backgrounds together, is now a constraint when you're using diverse groups. You can't just give them the similar way to, because this might be super easy for the high groups, but now it's very difficult for the lower students, or something that's for the low students, they're figuring it out, but the high students are done and they're bored and they're not doing anything. That's one of the constraints from my perspective. Some students may feel discouraged if there's a large disparity in the present group. Say, for instance, like there's only 2 low students in a class of 20 kids, and all other 18 kids. Now those 2 kids with the, creating an identity issue and things like that, like they are going to sit there and say like, ugh, like, but we're on the outs. We're the low kids, for for the terms that we're using. I think that the last part of it, the age level and the needs and how they change, I think grouping younger students in the diverse manner, Mr. Yang is a kindergarten teacher. I think that allows the students to be sponges and learn from each other, and figure out how this student figured out their multiplication course and things like that, tables and things, that where they can sponge those abilities and that things that other students have, that maybe the high group students have, that a low or mid student can learn, because they're so young and hanging out with each other and working in little fun group projects together in their younger classes. But I do think that older students need to have like proper and efficient instruction. Whatever you are doing for your group, catering to one group level is going to be at the expense of the other groups. when you have a mixed group. So I think that for younger groups, you can be diverse. I think the younger groups will develop and benefit from being in a diverse group. But I think as you get older, and it kind of happens already right now in classrooms and in high schools or middle schools, there is a certain level of academic need or background to have to be efficient and be put in a specific class. Like you want to be an AP, or you got to prove that you can be an AP, test wise or something like that, because it helps allow the teacher to be efficient. There's only so many days in a school year, and we have to get through this curriculum through the school year. So if the group is more similar, then we can sit there and say, hey, this is how we're going to do it. If you need extra help, I'm here for you. If not, continue to do your work. But you don't pigeonhole yourself or take at the expense of other groups and other members of or other levels of learners, trying to cater to the low group, I guess would be the terms. But other than that, that's my week 2 discussion post. Thank you.